Hello, everyone. It's time for team training for the Oklahoma Housing Needs Assessment. This is a part of a series of videos talking about transitioning from ArcMap to ArcGIS Pro. And this video is going to be about how to share maps online using ArcGIS Mapviewer. And, in our prototyping model flow chart here, it's kind of down here on the bottom right where we're talking about making interactive web maps and some of the hoops you have to jump through to do that. So let's get started. I'm going to stop my share here of PowerPoint and go right into a share with ArcGIS Pro. There you go. So what I have here is I've got a project that I've started as a prototype for looking at price to rent ratios. And there's actually three maps here: price to income, rent to income. They're all very similar, just different ratios using the same table of data called Price Income 2020 that I have here imported. And so you can see over here on the contents, there's several layers. I just talked about the table here of data. I'll open that up just so you can see it real quick. So it has all the census tracts. I got this from the Census Bureau, and you can watch the previous video talked about loading census data into ArcGIS Pro. And you can see it here. It has values, median value for a home, and then median rent, median income for a household, and then an annual rent, because the median rent is a monthly rent, right? So you have to multiply that by 12. So it's just kind of your standard table of data. But then I have a census tract group where I've joined that data to it, and I'm displaying it. And these are ratios, right, going from 0 to the highest ones all the way up at 59. Anything above 15, right, as a price to rent ratio, indicates that it would be a better bet, more affordable to own your property than to rent it. And anything below 15, you're better off renting. Now, of course, if you have a census tract that is very low, and it says, hey, it's expensive to own a home here, you'd be better off renting, but there might not be any homes to rent, right? Or very few homes or apartments to rent. So just having a low rent here doesn't necessarily guarantee you could do something there, but this is just an indicator that might allow us to decide whether to own or rent. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want to share this to the Mapviewer, ArcGIS Mapviewer. And to do that, normally you're maybe over here at Map or Insert or Analysis, right, or something. But if we go to Share, it lets you decide what you want to share. And then right over here, Share as a web map or a web layer, okay? And web map will share all of the different layers in the map. Web layer will just do one of the layers. So for instance, I'm just going to, and they both work almost identically, the process does. So I'm just going to do my layer here for Oklahoma Census Tract's price to rent ratio. And you'll see when I get into Mapviewer, I already have these other maps, the price to income ratio and rent to income, already in Mapviewer. So I just want to basically export this layer and bring it in. If you were going to export all the layers, it would work in the same way, but there might be more steps to the process because you have more layers to process. Okay, so I'm going to go up here and I'm going to say, hey, I want to share a web layer. And it's going to bring the little sharing toolbar over here, and you can give it a name. here it says price to rent ratio, which is the name of the map, and that's just fine. And then you can put in a summary. And then it has some tags. So that, if you're familiar with working on the internet, producing websites or things, you might have tags for searching for content. So I'll put housing in here. Then it's going to ask me what type of layer is it? Feature tile, vector tile. This is just a plain old feature, so we'll just leave the default there. And then it wants to know what folder. And if you hit your drop down here, if you have logged into ArcGIS Pro using the university login, right, your username and 4x4, you're going to see that you have a file here that is your 4x4 underscore UOK, the root, right? And I'm going to save this in the root here. You can make new folders. You can see create new folders here. I'm just going to save this in my root right now. And then you can decide who do you want to share it with. I'm just going to share it with everyone. Now, before you hit publish down here, you got to analyze. Okay, so let's take a look, and we're going to analyze this thing. And I think I'm going to get some errors here, which I did. Okay, right? And so we're going to have to do some things to correct the ones that have the little red circle with the X in it. Now, these are warnings here. You don't necessarily have to do anything with the warnings. They're just there to warn you about things, but you definitely have to do something with the red circle X's, right? To correct these. And so let's take a look here. And if you just click on these, it will bring up it will tell you in-memory joins are not supported. You say, well, what the heck does that mean? Well, what it means is we have joined this table to this feature class, and it won't bring that join into the layer when we share it. Well, what are we going to do? Well, here's what you do. We're going to right-click on that layer, and we're going to say Data, Export Features. And we're going to make a new feature class. I'm going to put in my geodatabase. We're going to call it price rent ratio. And then we're going to hit OK. And when it does this, it's going to take a few seconds here, right? It's going to bring in that new price to rent ratio. And when I do that, if I open up the attribute table, it's going to have all the data that was in the join, right? So that is how we're gonna fix this in-memory join problem because now it's all the data is in the feature class. And so I'm going to turn off my census tract layer that has the joins, and then I'm going to go in here and go joins, remove all joins. Go. So I've lost the joins, but it doesn't matter because I have this new layer, right? That has the data. Now, problem is that when I brought it in, it just came in with the default symbology. So I'm going to have to change that. So we're going to get a little practice using our symbology tools, which probably isn't good. We covered it a little bit in the previous video. And so right now it's set to default single symbol, but I want to use graduated colors. And I want to basically, do this price to rent ratio. Okay. And so to do that, I need the price. This is the median value here. And then I need the annual rent. Okay. And now the way this thing is broken down here, it's using the natural breaks, and I want to be able to set my own. But before I do that, I'm going to change my color scheme. And I want to show all the names and show all of the files. And I've been using, if I can find it here, this red to blue. Well, that's red, yellow, blue. See if I can find just the regular old red to blue. These things should be alphabetical. So purple, oh, red to blue. There we go. Okay. And we'll use 5 classes here. Alrighty. Now you'll see it goes from low to high. I'm actually going to reverse that. So I'll hit more and reverse symbol order. Right. And then you'll also see after it does this, it's thinking about it a little bit. But I want to also show the values out of range. So there's some that are out of range, and so I can make those gray. And I think if you noted from the previous layer, I was using a white outline. So I'm going to format all the symbols and change the outline color to white. And apply that. And go back to my symbols. All right, so we're getting closer here. Now it's still being listed by natural breaks, and I want to do manual. Okay, so we'll do that. All right. And then it wants to know, okay, what are your ranges, right? So I'm gonna go up to 30 with this one. So I just double click on it, and I can then type in what I want, right? And then we'll go 25 here. 20, 15. And what I got here is I think I was using 6 before, so I'm a little bit short. My colors here, so I'm gonna just change this. I got to move them up 15 to 20, and we'll go 20 to 30, and then above 30 for this example. Here we go. Okay. And then you can see I've got a white here in the middle, and I'm going to change that. So if I click on that, I can select a color and just go with that. Go with this light pink color. Yeah, there we go. And then I don't really like this orange here. It's kind of oranges. Change that too. Kind of a red there. Sorry if I'm mumbling. I'm just trying to get my my color schemes to kind of make sense here. There we go. That looks pretty good. And then the last thing I'm going to do here is I've got 2 decimal places. I'm just going to click on my format labels here, and just I think I'm just going to change that to 0 decimal places, and just round off to the nearest whole number there. All right. Okay. So now that should take care of our memory joins not supported problem. Now, another thing it's saying is unique numeric IDs are not assigned. Well, what the heck does that mean? Let's click on that. And that brings up our map properties, okay? And you can see down here, it says allow assignment of unique numeric IDs for sharing web layers, right? So this option assign, you can read it here. It assigns and manages unique IDs of layers and standalone tables in the maps, right? And so, here, if you leave this unchecked, new IDs may be assigned when you share the web layer. So before overriding a web layer, verify that the IDs in your map match the existing service ID, right? So I'm going to click that, and that should take care of my error message here. While I'm in here, I'm just going to look at the coordinate systems, and it's good to pick one that matches the web service, right? And so these are the default ones here. And so instead of this state plane, I'm going to select that and hit OK here. And it changes, it changes the projection. All right, now let's analyze this again and see if we get any more errors. All right, so I've got some layered data source is not supported. But these are they're just warnings. So what I'm going to do is let's hit publish, and it's going to take a minute to publish. So I'm going to pause the recording and come back once we've published it. All right, so we are back. It took about 3 or 4 minutes for that to upload, and that was just one layer, right? So be prepared if you're, sharing things on the web that it can take a little while to process, publish it, and upload it, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my share here in ArcGIS Pro, and I'm going to start a new share. If I can find it here in Firefox. And I mean, this you can be in whatever browser you want. I just happen to be in Firefox, but Google Chrome works. And what you want to do is you want to go to the ArcGIS Mapviewer. If you just search for that in your search engine, you can bring it up. And once you bring it up, you can work on maps without signing in. But I would suggest signing in, and you can go to a login page that looks like this one, and you say, okay, what's your ArcGIS organizational's URL? That's the one we want to use, and it's U, capital U, OK, okay? And then we hit that, and then it says you want to use your University of Oklahoma login. Yes, I'll click on that, and then the first time that you do that, you're going to have to enter your 4x4 password. Mine was already sort of the browser remembered me, so there it is. And when it comes in, the screen looks like this. It shows sort of a blank background map here. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to open up a map I've already created here. And so I'm going to go to the gallery. And it takes you to the University of Oklahoma gallery. And you can see there's 5,000 things here, right? But I'm going to look for housing because that was my tag, right? There we go, right? So I've got these price income ratio. I'm going to open that up. Okay. And I hope you are seeing that. Hold on a second. That's not the one I wanted. I guess I want this one down. I'm going to stop my share for a second and just reopen it just in case it put it in a different window when I open that up. It should be okay, but let's just make sure. There you go. All right, so this is my price to income ratio map that I already loaded up here. Close that down. And so you can see that the map viewer it works very much like the ArcGIS Pro interface, but it's not going to have all of the whistles and bells. It's just a viewer, right? So, but it has the table of contents over here. And so what I want to do is I want to add that layer that I just exported that has the price to rent ratio. So I'm going to hit add here, and it's going to bring up my items in my content. You could also, if I pull down here, you can look in the whole organization or ArcGIS online. But here's my price to rent ratio. So let's bring that in and add that to the map, and cross your fingers, see if it works here. Yeah, looks like it's going to work. And it comes in on top here. And you move layers around in here just like you do in ArcGIS Pro. I'm going to move it down here. I'm gonna turn off my price to income ratio and just leave the price to rent on there. And so we can zoom in and take a look at that. And you'll notice, we got all these little white dots on here, and those are actually like farm ponds from the water layer. There's quite a few farm ponds around here, and so when you're zooming in and out, instead of drawing all those little shapes, it put those little dots on there in case you were wondering what those are. But here you can kind of see we've got our price to rent income ratio. Our price to rent ratio displayed just like we had it in ArcGIS Pro. So that's the process for sharing content using the ArcGIS Pro and the Mapviewer. So hopefully that'll help you. I think this would be a great tool for sharing prototypes with each other in the team, and maybe even with our stakeholders when we're testing the prototypes. This is not our final destination. I think we're going to have to create our own interface for our housing assessment, right? But this is a good way to share it and to prepare data for sharing. All right, that about wraps it up for this one.